Have you ever gone to the store, picked up your favorite snack, and realized it costs more than it did last year? That's inflation. But what exactly is inflation? Why does it happen? And how bad can it really get? Let's break it down in a way that actually makes sense. What is inflation? Inflation is when prices go up over time. It means that your money buys less than it did before. Think of it like this. In the year 2000, a movie ticket cost around $5. Today, it's more like $12. That's inflation. It's measured using something called the Consumer Price Index, or CPI. This tracks how the prices of everyday things, like food, rent, gas, clothes, and movie tickets, change over time. Most countries aim for low and steady inflation, around 2% a year. That's just enough to keep the economy growing without making life too expensive. But inflation doesn't affect everyone the same way. If your salary goes up with inflation, you might not notice it much. But if your income stays the same, rising prices can really hurt. What causes inflation? So what causes inflation in the first place? There are a few big reasons. 1. Demand pull inflation. This happens when everyone wants to buy stuff, but there isn't enough stuff to go around. Example, if lots of people want new cars, but there's a shortage of cars, prices go up. 2. Cost push inflation. This happens when the cost to make things goes up. If gas, wages, materials, or tariffs go up, companies raise prices to cover their costs. Think, higher oil prices leads to higher shipping costs. Higher shipping costs leads to higher food prices. 3. Too much money in the economy. If governments print too much money, the value of each dollar goes down. People have more cash to spend, but there's not more stuff to buy, so prices rise. This happened in Germany in 1923. The government printed so much money that it cost 200 billion marks to buy a loaf of bread. Money had so little real value that it was cheaper to burn money to stay warm than it was to buy wood or coal to stay warm. 4. Global shocks. Wars, pandemics, natural disasters, or tariff wars can disrupt supply chains, making goods harder to get and more expensive. For example, during COVID-19, factories shut down, supplies got stuck, and prices spiked. In 2025, the United States entered into a trade war with all other countries to include our allies like Mexico, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Tariffs jumped 25% overnight, and some tariffs with China were threatened to increase cost by 100%. That means if you bought $1 worth of steel before the tariffs, it would now cost you $2 for the same amount of steel. In today's trade wars, tariffs could be a big contributor to rising inflation. How bad can inflation get? Mild inflation is normal, but what happens when inflation gets out of control? Moderate inflation. This is 3–5% per year. It might feel annoying, groceries or rent creep up, but it's manageable. High inflation. When inflation hits 10% or more, people start to feel serious pain. Your savings lose value, wages don't keep up, and everyday items become harder to afford. Hyperinflation. This is the nightmare scenario. Prices rise extremely fast, sometimes daily or hourly. People lose faith in money itself. Examples: Weimar Germany, 1920s. People used wheelbarrows full of money to buy bread. Zimbabwe, 2008. A loaf of bread cost 35 million Zimbabwean dollars. Venezuela, 2010s. Prices doubled every few weeks. People turned to bartering or foreign currencies. In extreme cases, inflation can destroy economies, wipe out savings, lead to social unrest, and in extreme cases, the collapse of governments. Can inflation be controlled? Yes. Governments and central banks can take steps to control inflation. The main tool is interest rates. When inflation is too high, central banks, like the U.S. Federal Reserve, raise interest rates. This makes borrowing money more expensive. So people and businesses spend less, and demand goes down. They can also cut government spending or raise taxes, though that can be politically unpopular. But it's a delicate balance. If they raise rates too fast, it can lead to a recession. So, what's the deal with inflation? It's a natural part of the economy, but if it gets out of hand, it can cause real damage. Understanding what inflation is and what causes it helps you make smarter decisions with your money and see the bigger picture when prices change. It might also impact how you vote. All politicians say they want to keep down inflation, but watch and see what politicians are doing. If you have a personal story about how inflation has hurt you or your family, go to whereitwas.com. We want to hear your story. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment with any questions.